108 cards split amongst a group of players, with 16 total action cards and 7 cards dealt to each player. A game that makes or breaks friendships and leaves a loser in certain tiers. With such random action cards that can change the game within a second, surely there's no pattern to win, and your best option is to keep playing whatever card comes next. Except there is actually a math behind Uno. Not only is the game governed by statistics, but it also relies on the actions of your opponents, which means you can change how you play to put the odds in your favour. Firstly, when you're dealt 7 cards, assuming you have a semi-decent shuffler, your spread of cards is probably the most important thing to start with. Here's why. In this game, the flow is heavily influenced by colour. Of course, this can be changed with 2 methods being either the same number or a wildcard, but we'll talk about that later. So, the first most important step to take is to change the colour as often as possible, based on your opponents of course. Given the choice between playing a card of the same colour or one with the same number but different colour, go with the latter option. By changing the colour more frequently, it means that in a situation where you are unaware of what colours everyone else has most of, you are more likely to force someone to draw a card or be forced to use action cards early on in the game. This can be even more exaggerated if you are aware of some of the player's dominant colours, for the obvious reason that you don't want people playing a series of cards all at once. In fact, by forcing people to draw or play action cards early on, you put yourself in a better position for the mid to end game. A major point of this is looking at what's going on around, and these are 2 main things to pick up on: the discard and pickup pile. If a player has just put down a series of the same colour, due to the probability of the cards you have, each player should have a relatively even spread of colours in their hand. That means this player likely has no more blues remaining, which means that if possible, you should change the colour to blue to target them straight away. The pickup pile, being equally important, shows if a player doesn't have a certain colour, so a change to this colour would be an easy target, except there is one major gap in this whole idea of changing colour. Should you play wildcards to change it, or should you try and save them for later? Here's what you should do. On average, you should attempt to save wildcards for as long as possible, but don't stick to this rule and never break it, because while it's great if you end on a wildcard, if hoarding it means you take longer to get to Uno, is there really any point? So, keep the wildcard for as long as possible, and even use other action cards over it, but use it when you have no other choice, or if another player is close to winning and you don't know what card they have, so they stay in the game for as long as possible. Of course, wildcards aren't only action cards, but there are very important things you should do with the others. Uno reverse. In a situation where players have very few cards, switch it the other way around so that they have to wait longer to play their turn, so everyone else can catch up, but also use it as a target. If the person to your right just picked up, they clearly don't have the colour or number, meaning switching play makes them draw again. A big part of this means you have to target the weaker players until they are mindlessly out of the game, while also accounting for those with fewer cards and that are winning. The Uno reverse is more of a mid-game card, so I would advise not to use it too early on. The skip also has similar principles, but the main point is that timing is key. Don't just play a skip card, just wait it out. It can only be played on the people next to you, so be sure to wait until they start losing cards quickly. There's no point playing a skip on them when they have 10 cards, but wait till they start making speed and then destroy them. For the last action cards, which are arguably the best, there are +4 and +2. With these there is a path to follow. A bit like the skip, timing is key, but try not to play them too quickly. Wait until you've seen more people play plus cards, as it means they are unlikely to have another, so at least you can defend if it is played on you. But when you see the person next to you nearing Uno, now is the time to play it. Just make sure that you don't get caught out with no plus cards and the people to your right decide to make a huge stack. The major point with plus cards, as well as the skip and reverse, is not to hoard them and read the situation where they can and will be used best. Given that you are now a casual Uno professional, a donation to the channel in the form of a like and subscribe would be much appreciated.